Okay, so I definitely, as you saw, I burned my finger about 3 times in the process of me trying to light that bad boy back there. Which, means we're off to a great start. So welcome back, class, to Bound and Bookmarked. I'm Jaleesa, and today's video is a very small book haul. So I look kind of buff right now. Here's the thing. I've acquired a few books, not many, about 6. I think I told you all in one of my last few videos that I was no longer going to be doing TBR videos, which is still very true. So this book haul is a haul, yes, to show you what I have, but also to kind of show you what I, dare I say, plan to read in the next few months. I'm not gonna say this month because I don't know if I'll get to them all this month, but I plan on reading in the coming months. So I guess it's a TBR of some sort, whatever. So let's just start with the first one, which a lot of you have been reading this book. People who I tend to talk to fairly regularly, or friends of mine, have read this book and they have really enjoyed it. So I feel like, okay, well, our tastes are pretty similar, so I'm gonna give it a try. And that book is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So I know it's kind of a reimagining of the story of Dracula's brides. Constanta, I believe is her name, and she is a peasant turned basically into one of Dracula's brides. And during her time with Dracula, she's starting to realize that her husband, I guess, is doing all these awful things. She ends up finding herself, I guess, falling in love or having some kind of relationship with one of his other brides, I believe. As much as she loves her husband, she realizes too that there are some things that she just can't stand for, so she has to decide if this bond between she and him is more important than her own freedom. I definitely will let you know my thoughts on it. This next book I actually have already started reading. I'm on page 31, and it is We Wish You Luck by Caroline Zankan. So this book follows the story of 3 people, Hannah, Leslie, and Jimmy. So Hannah, Leslie, and Jimmy are all MFA students. So they are aspiring authors, aspiring writers. They attend this program with the hopes of coming out with the tools they need to be a successful writer. And so while they're there, they end up with a professor named Simone, who I guess does something or kind of initiates these different events that happen between the 3 friends. And really what I'm getting so far from the story is that it's trying to showcase the lengths that students will go to be successful, what they are willing to do in order to step ahead of their friends in the same program as them. A lot of people understand and see how academia really, it can be a cesspool for like unhealthy competition. I do feel like competition is obviously, it's in our nature as humans, and I think that a fair amount of it is very healthy, but I think that there is this way to go about it that can make it very unhealthy. And I don't really know the events that take place quite yet between these 3 friends, or these 3 classmates, but what I do know is that there's death involved, there are lies involved, there is deceit involved, there is revenge involved. The best way for me to describe this writing, it's almost dreamy. As I'm reading, I feel like I'm reading from both the author and a student who's like watching all of these events play out between these 3 characters. So it's an interesting point of view to be reading from, but I'm enjoying it so far. The weird part is there are no chapters in this book, which is interesting. I never read a book that had no chapters, but it's not like a negative thing. It's just an observation that I saw. The writing almost feels conversational. Like when I'm reading it, it's talking to me, it's speaking to me, it's asking me questions. So I'm really enjoying that. There are moments in the story where it's addressing writing and what makes a book or a story well written, and it's almost as if like we're being told what good writing looks like while also reading good writing. So I don't know, it's interesting. I'm really excited to keep reading this one, and I don't know, I'm enjoying it a lot so far. So okay, so this next story is a continuation of a series that I started last year that I read instantly, and I fell in love with this author's writing. I felt like all of the things that I've heard people say that makes a good fantasy story, this author does. I think that she is brilliant. I think that the way she has created the world building, the magic, how she goes about writing the politics, and how it's so digestible for readers who aren't necessarily people who constantly read books with that, kind of material in it. And that book is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. I have started this book, of course, obviously. I'm not far, I'm only on page 31. As soon as I read the first chapter, I immediately started smiling, because I had been kind of like, not in a funk lately, but kind of in a funk. I guess I've been feeling a bit out of touch with myself. I feel like I've been a little bit out of touch with just reality, in the sense that, we're going through a pandemic. I'm about to get really candid for a second. We're going through a pandemic, and it's been not easy if it hasn't been for a lot of you who watch. And I think that this week especially, I took off 2 weeks. I don't know if anyone noticed. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. I had went through some stuff the past week or 2. This is like a side tangent, I'm sorry. A tangent. But what I'm trying to say, what I'm getting at is that I hadn't been feeling anything I was reading, even though I knew I was reading books that I probably would have enjoyed had I been in a freaking good mood. I just hadn't been in a good mood lately. I know to y'all, I'm sure I'm probably always like bubbly and giddy and smiling, and I am for the most part, but I have my days, which of course I don't really go in depth about because I just don't. So I have been DNFing of quite a few books the past 2 weeks that I tried to pick up, and I just was like, you know what? It's fine. Stop DNF for right now until I can come back to them and give them a fair chance. But I literally read the first chapter of Dead Legacy and I was so happy. Like, I literally was smiling. I felt like just this sense of relief, like, wow, finally a book that makes me feel actively engaged and a bit alive. The first chapter made me feel very present, and I was happy about that, which I think is a testament to Fonda Lee's writing. Anyway, though, I really can't say much about the book so far because I'm only 30 pages in. Also, though, it's the third book in the saga, so I really can't give too many things away. For those of you who maybe haven't even read Jade City yet, Jade City is really great. It follows the Call family who live on Kekon, and pretty much in Kekon, Jade, like green, like the jewel jade, is very coveted. Everybody wants their hands on it because if you're somebody who can wear jade without getting sick, without it having negative side effects, then that means you are a green bone. And green bones have like these abilities kind of already instilled in them, but when they wear jade, it kind of enhances what they already are. People who are stone eyes, which are people who cannot wear jade at all, they are trying to get their hands on this jade. There's this drug that's being manufactured in order to help those who are stone eyes possess and wear jade. You have that element of kind of like politics, economics even. Oftentimes when you have economic turmoil between two places or multiple places, war is kind of on the brink. So they're on the brink of war, and that's like the gist of the story. So there are lots of things at play in this story, but it really is incredible. If you're somebody who is looking to read adult fantasies and you're not sure where to start, I mean, to me, I feel like Jade City is a great book to start with. I went ahead and bought The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. When I was in high school, I did read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. From what I can remember, of course, I did enjoy it. This book follows the daughter of Jekyll. Mary Jekyll is going to end up meeting these different women who have all been kind of born out of experimentation. So they're going to work together to take down this secret society of scientists who are continuing to create these experiments. I don't have any real details quite yet, but what I do know is that this also includes Frankenstein's daughter, I believe. So if you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, maybe this is a book you would be interested in. I'm not sure, but I enjoyed the story when I was in high school from what I can remember, and so I think that I will really enjoy diving into this story too. So I'm excited for that. This next book should come as no surprise to any of you. I read the first book in the series literally, I think it was a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. I loved the story. I thought it was fantastic. So the next book that I'm hauling and that I'm reading as soon as humanly possible is Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm excited. So I would give a synopsis on this book, and I know what it is, but I don't want to give too much away to those of you who haven't read the first book. So what I will say is that it does follow this girl, Amelia, whose sister was murdered in the first book, which that's not a spoiler, I promise. It's literally in the flap on the inside of the book. So she ends up trying to figure out who killed her sister, and in this whole journey she ends up meeting one of the princes of hell, and they work together to solve this mystery around her sister. However, some things happen throughout that time, and something big happens at the end of that story, which takes us into this here book. The one thing I will say is that we are now going to be visiting in this book the 7 circles. So Amelia made a choice, and now she's in the 7 circles of hell. That's all I will say about this book. You know, I mean, I really do enjoy YA fantasy. And so the next book that I hauled is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. If you enjoy books that have a fairy tale theme but also betrayal, this book might be for you. This story follows Evangeline. She is somebody who, like myself, believes heavily in happily ever after. She believes in being in love until she finds out that the man that she loves is going to marry someone else. So she ends up making a deal with this guy. He is called the Prince of Hearts. I have no idea what his real name is yet, but they call him the Prince of Hearts. The Prince of Hearts is set to help Evangeline pretty much stop this marriage from ever happening. With that being said, he does kind of make a deal with her. He tells her, you have to give me 3 kisses, and at the time and place of my choosing in order for me to help you. For whatever reason, she accepts. She accepts. And so after their first kiss happens, she learns that the Prince of Hearts has plans for her that she was not aware of, and that what he's asking for her to do, it will mean she will either end up with this so-called love of her life, or it's going to end very tragically. I think that it'll kind of weave together both this fairy tale feel of, you know, love and happily ever afters, but also with the idea that maybe fairy tales and love doesn't actually mean that it's going to always be happy. It's going to be dark sometimes, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be rough, and sometimes it will even be tragic. So this sounds great to me. those are all the books that I hauled recently that I am going to be reading or have already started reading. So let me know if you have hauled any books recently, if you have read any books recently, put them in the comments below. I would love to know what you're all reading. If you're reading Kingdom of the Curse, please let me know, because I would love to actually make maybe a like group chat of some sort, maybe on Discord or somewhere, if you're reading it this month, because it did just come out, and I know a lot of you were excited for it. I know that I was excited for it, and I haven't started it yet because I do kind of want to do a group read. So we'll see if any of you are reading it. Tell a girl so I can figure out a buddy read of some sort. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you as always in my very next video.